you're very welcome to Saturday's edition of What Matters programme. And God knows there's so much going on that we have loads to talk on, and your views would be indeed very, very welcome. Now, I can't give you the up-to-date score of Ireland versus Kerry in the rugby match. Just testing. Are you alert? You are. But I think by half-time, I think Ireland were doing very, very well. Fingers crossed, that would be a great result. And they need a good result now at this stage. But back to home truths. I'm just looking at a particular Facebook message here where the path ahead, it says full facts from Neffet paint stark picture. Now, you see, this is very, very confusing for people. And I can understand then why people are up in arms and what is going on. Because Neffet are advising the government. Neffet have their panel of scientists and doctors and go on the statistics per day and the fatalities, which we fully sympathise with the families involved. We really, really sincerely do. But there is a public viewpoint out there. Outside of fatalities, people can get on with their lives. They can do the washing of the hands, the social distancing, and wear a mask if they wish, if they don't have serious underlying conditions. And I think that would be enough for the government to actually open up the economy in a structured fashion. But when you have Neffet coming in then and saying, stark picture ahead, that there may be another clampdown or lockdown by the autumn winter if the economy goes back. So what in the name of God are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to lie back and accept another lockdown? The mental health, folks, of people is very, very serious. It's a chronic situation at this time. So you have 2 or 3 kids at home, 7 days a week. You have the mother and father at home. And remember, if the father or the mother are the bread earners and the working, the $350 per week could be maybe 100 or 200 less than what their normal salary is. So therefore, then you have financial difficulties. So then we have Leah Varadkar saying that the economy is actually going to bounce back. Michael McGrath in a foil said the same in the second half of 2021 into 2022. But why are they saying this when we have lockdown, unemployment? So we need a reality check with Neffet and the government ministers to stop, if I can use the word bullshitting, I'm sorry for saying this word on air, but it's the only way I can describe it. Stop bullshitting the Irish people, that the economy is going to bounce back, and these false innuendos from IBEC and the ESRI is totally, totally inaccurate. We have a worldwide pandemic, we have a worldwide recession, so people of Ireland don't listen to stupid, whatever it is, promises and statements from the Tánaiste and his merry men and women and the Taoiseach who wants the limelight and the podium with his cohorts and friendly goons in RTE. That's exactly what is happening, and the people of Ireland have seen through it. Mike Putt, before I get my blood pressure tablets or it goes through the roof, come in and help me here, because I'm just getting more annoyed as I speak. How are you today?
I'm good, and yourself? Can you hear me?
I can perfectly, Mike. Mike, what is your take on all of this?
Okay, first of all, Neffet are suggesting we carry on the lockdown until there is zero COVID.
Yes.
There will never be zero COVID. Like COVID is going to be like the flu. It's going to die off during the summer, come back in the winter.
Yes.
We have to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we just have to get on and live with it. Now, also talk about Neffet. One of the members of Neffet is the wife of Mike Ryan of the WHO.
All right.
So you've a vested interest there.
Never knew that. Never knew that, Mike.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. They're doing the same as Brendan Drum or David Drum.
Yes.
Do you remember his famous statement? He pulled figures from his rear end. Do you remember that?
I do indeed.
Yeah, well, that's what the government's doing. In England, right? I don't think it's Ireland. I'm fairly sure it's England. They issued complaints to the police about the doctors and the figures.
Yes.
Okay, the doctors can actually be sued for malpractice if they're putting down ordinary deaths as COVID.
Yes.
And the amount of deaths from COVID have reduced by 2/3 since this was put out there. I mean, I heard of a case this morning. A fella fell off a ladder. Right, he died in hospital. His death was put down as COVID. And when questioned, it was, well, he caught COVID, and because of that, he couldn't recover.
God bless us.
And there was another one in the paper during the week of a fellow that was shot in the neck.
Correct.
He died from COVID. So, you know,
That is.
it's very hard to trust anyone when they're just telling lies and false numbers. And if they may be honest and come out and say, look, this is what's happening, you know, and be truthful about it, then we can trust them. But the way it is, we can't trust them. And as you said, Michael Martin and his own party say this. The only thing he's interested in is being Taoiseach.
That's all. That's all. That's all.
He's no interest in anything that's happening in this country.
No. Well, he's coming out, Mike, with very strange statements. And, you know, I probably he's a very genuine Irish Republican. I don't know. But, like, there seems to be no cohesive plan in relation to this NPHET. It's willy-nilly. The Tánaiste on one day, Micheál Martin, the Taoiseach, the next day. Then we have Michael McGrath talking about a great economy 2021 into 2022. These are all false projections. And, you know, I think it's an awful insult to the Irish people, to men and women who are struggling to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And, you know, are told this from these high earners, and that's another bone of contention I'll come to as well in a few minutes, about these big earnings. I'll come to it now, actually, because it's connected to it. I mean, all of these people in politics and state bodies are very highly paid men and women. Now, how can anybody justify €81,600 as a pay rise to one individual? Micheál Martin and his government adjudicated and passed it. Now, I think it's before a union body or something like that. Then, on top of that, the salaries of each individual member of TDs in our parliament now exceeds over 100,000 plus expenses.
It's gone back to Celtic Tiger days.
Yes.
For them. Now, can I just interject there? During the week, there was a lady in Dublin. She opened her beauty salon.
Correct.
Her first name is Christine. I can't think of her second name.
Yes.
She opened it because, like everyone else, she's bills to pay. She's family to feed. Right. She was closed down within 2 days. The first day, the guards arrived on and told her close up shop. The second day she opened again and she was taken away and arrested and appeared in court, right? Now, everybody that was involved in that, the guards, the judge, NPHET, the government, they're all on full pay.
Of course they are.
So they were all actually paid to stop her from earning a living. Like, well, where's the common sense?
No, I think it's criminal.
Yeah, it is.
Irish business people. It definitely is. Because there are people getting PUP payments that shouldn't be getting it, number one.
Yeah.
And I want to put all of that in Plan A. Go over to Plan B and look at the pensioners. The pensioners' maximum state pension is $248 per week. Divide 101,000 by 12. Divide that by 4. And I'll tell you something. The figures would drop off the page with an insult to the Irish people.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely reprehensible that there isn't some minister up there in that parliament worth his salt or her salt, knuckle down and give us a cohesive plan for opening the economy in a proper, safe manner. Open the pubs. The publicans are taxpayers. They are responsible men and women right across the country.
And every one of them has put thousands into doing up their pubs to make sure that they're COVID, whatever the word is.
Yes, compliant.
Compliant, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just madness. It's madness. We have the longest lockdown in the world.
Yes.
Absolutely the longest in the world.
But Mike, we don't have a government with intelligent men like Micheál Martin, Leo Varadkar. They are intelligent. They have the necessary tools. Why can't they just sit down and open up the economy in a proper, structured plan? We all agree, we wash our hands, we keep safe distancing. You and I are on Zoom. We all abide by that. And the schools are going back on Monday. And I bet you anything, if there's an increase in COVID diagnosis, the schools will shut again. Sure, that's no way to carry on.
No,
we have to.
No, it's not all the schools now. It's only junior infants going back on Monday.
Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry, junior infants. Yes.
Yeah. Just another thing there. I'm just going to go back to NEFIT again.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, again, keep the lockdown until hospital numbers are reduced. Not COVID numbers, coronavirus numbers, but actual hospital wait lists.
Yes.
Are reduced. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are hospital wait lists where they are? It's because of years of neglect by the government in the health service. So now what they're saying is, well, let the ordinary people suffer on until those waiting lists reduce. But it's not the government's fault for not running the hospitals right.
Correct. Yes. Well, you see, the other point on that is that at the moment, today is Saturday, preceding Monday's the 1st of March, there's 828,000 people on waiting lists across the country.
Yeah.
That is not the doctor's fault. It is not the nurse's fault. It's the entire medical system in this country that needs a massive overhaul.
Yeah, exactly. It's the system that's wrong. It's not the ordinary doctor or nurse.
God, no, they're worked to the bone. You know, they're the people I would support, and the businessmen and women across the country are getting a salary increase.
Yeah.
The politicians, for God's sake, they have their expense accounts.
But they're not even doing a full day's work.
Yes.
There's only so many of them going into the convention sector.
Yes. Correct, absolutely.
And I've said this before. They are the people that are saying, open up the schools and, this kind of thing. The schools are probably the worst place for infection because you've young children there that aren't going to be wearing masks.
Yes.
Children that have no clue how to look after themselves during this. They're going to be cuddling teachers. They're going to be mixing with each other.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is if we're told with the social distance and everything, right, children won't do this. They're just, it's not in their nature. It's in their nature to mix. But the people that are telling the schools to open are staying yards apart themselves, that they're not leading by example either.
Good point. That's a very, very good point. There was a message there. It says businesses urged to hold firm, save lives, amid campaigns all over the country to flout the close down lockdown rules. So the government Mike and listeners have one chance to put this right. Stop the lockdown, open up the business, let people out there and mix in a safe mannered way. And it was a common sense statement that was made to me in my hometown of Glynn recently. The reason we don't have the winter vomiting bug or the winter flu is because we're sanitizing everything. And one other objection that I really, really have is people have the right to exercise their religious beliefs, whether a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And we should be allowed collectively practice our faith instead of going back to the time of the penal times, hundreds of years ago, because we're locked out of our places of worship. If people want to go and bury their dead, they're confined to 10 in a funeral service in a church. I'm not sure now what it's like for members of the Muslim community or the Jewish community, but for Christians, that is all very, very wrong.
Okay, the mosques are open.
They're open, are they? Right.
Yeah. There was a service in a mosque last week in Dublin.
Yes.
The video was up of 100, 110 people leaving the mosque. 11 times the guards were rang from one phone to report this, and nobody turned up.
Right.
Except it was a Catholic church, the guards would be there. Now, and to be honest with you, I side with the Muslims. They're right to attend their mosques. The same as you said, we should be able to attend our churches.
If we want to. And I'm objecting to that restriction because it might be a daily mass for elderly people. I mean, you see, this government have got it all wrong.
Yeah.
Very, very wrong. And they're listening to NEFIT and the WHO. And here's another thing. I met a very good friend of mine in Glynn, Shakil, who is a Muslim, and we spoke last night. And he was telling me, in Africa, the Ebola is spreading. And another, not a variant of COVID, but another virus has now been detected, and they're calling it X. And it's highly transmissible and fatal among communities. But the difference is they have it under control, life is normal, and people there are washing their hands, social distancing, and masks wearing where possible. And it's common sense. But here we have every single night, like it's driving me mad. We have to listen to statistics and George Lee talking about things are looking good, it's very positive. NEFIT are saying it's very stark. So who do you believe? I don't know.
Don't believe any of them.
I don't know what agenda they have. But it's actually quite stupid, and it's very serious. Mike, you came across a story there to do with that. There was something to do with a particular individual getting on without a mask on a bus. What happened there?
Yeah, this lady, she lives in Limerick, and she lives out in Rain, but she travels into Limerick a couple of days a week to do a shopping and that. And she can't wear a mask. She's a medical condition, she can't wear a mask. She's had an ongoing battle with Bus Éireann, not with Bus Éireann, but with the drivers, right? Certain drivers will let her on, no bother at all. Other drivers won't let her on, so she has to miss that bus and get the next one. But she's been in constant touch with Bus Éireann, complaining about this and explaining the situation. She got an email back from them yesterday that in future, no driver will question anyone about whether or not they're wearing a mask. They will accept the person's decision, and that's it.
Well done, Bus Éireann. Well done. Yeah, you see. No, but of course that's going to contradict the laws. Yeah, you know, it's. I mean, let's go back to the hairdresser situation. Why couldn't they let her open her business to pay bills. I mean, are the government actually going to pay her bills when she can't manage on 300 a week or 350 a week? People have mortgages over 2,000 a month minimum.
Yeah.
Never mind the family and pay for a car and water rates. Then you have local property tax. I don't see that being stopped.
No.
Give people a break. And the pensioners, and I'm coming back to this, the pensioners have to live on 248 a week. And with state body personnel and also politicians on 50, 60, what am I talking about? 100 grand a year. There's something very seriously wrong. And we complain about the top earners on RTE. Sure, look, they're all the same.
They're all the same. And they're all drinking from the same pot.
Yes, that is the problem.
That is the problem. And if you look at it, there's so much intermingling between RTE and the government. It's almost incestuous, the relationship between them.
We're seeing it every night, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I see some of the reporters at the NEFIT briefing, and they're like little mice. They're nearly crying when they're giving the report. Oh, we can't. You know, if I was there, I'd be thrown out because I'd ask serious questions of the personnel.
But John, if it wasn't for RTE, if we wasn't constantly being bombarded with COVID,
yes,
we'd hardly even know it existed.
Correct. I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, the one thing that local doctors told me, I questioned them. They can't speak unless it's spoken authorized by their union. I respect and accept that. But one thing, 3 out of 5 doctors said to me, they are on the panel, they're going to administer the vaccine, but they are not 100% sure of its safety. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
You know, I
well,
don't...
The FDA hasn't approved the vaccine.
Has it not?
No.
Right. So is this a job of a quick fix?
It's basically anyone that takes the vaccine is a lab rat.
Right. A test.
A test, yeah. You are the guinea pig.
Now Pfizer's have issued a statement there, just saying that they cannot guarantee with regard to the new variants.
That's right.
That the vaccines will be, if I can use a very fancy word, effective or efficacious, I've been told, against the variants of COVID, because COVID now is starting to spread by way of various variants. So so I don't know. And
apparently that's what happens with a virus. As a virus mutates, so you get the variants, but the variants are weaker than the original.
Right.
Now, I was reading this morning, and that's what scientists are saying. So going back to NEFIT, they want to keep the country locked down until we're zero COVID. Jesus. And you have different mutations coming out. So as I said, we will never be zero COVID.
Never. We're going to have to live with this.
Yeah.
You know, like the measles is there, it can sort of erupt. TB can erupt, leukemia, all of those. The vaccines are there. The winter flus, the vomiting bugs, they're there. They're going to happen. They're going to spread. We have to live with them. But to actually talk of a zero COVID, I mean, somebody is really, they should go back actually and read the Beano and all of those comics. They should go back and read comics, you know, because those statements they're making are absolutely ridiculous.
Well, what I'd like to know is how much NEFIT are being paid.
Yes.
And is there any relationships between them and vaccine manufacturers, mask manufacturers?
Yes.
You know, is there any conflicting interest there?
Well, they're well covered up if there is a conflict of interest, Mike. definitely. Do you know one thing that occurred during the week, and it was raised in the Dáil by the Social Democrats and Sinn Féin, among other independents as well. Over 2,000 Brazilians entered the country. And what I'd like to know is, did anyone ask the questions? Were they vaccinated before they left Brazil? Were they questioned when they arrived in Ireland? Did they produce the necessary evidence that they were negative free from COVID? Nobody has reported on it. I didn't hear it. There's another question. We have a Brazilian variant now. We have a South African variant, and we have an African variant that's now emerging. So I don't know. I think the problem, Mike, is, and viewers, is that they're all wound up with statistics and figures and ratios going up and down instead of opening the economy in a safe, proper manner.
Yeah. And just going back to the Brazilians, the Brazilians were brought into work in meat factories because Larry Goodman won't pay to go and wait for Irish bonus.
Yeah.
Now, and likewise, he won't pay to go and wait for Irish beef. He's shipping in beef from out of the country.
So there's imports of beef.
Yeah.
But with all the beef that we have in this country, beautiful, fantastic, produced.
We had, well, we still have the best beef in the world.
Yes.
But the farmers are being paid not to farm.
Right.
So the numbers of beef are reduced. Now, there's a whole organisation there, grass-fed cattle, right? It's in Ireland. And you can buy direct from the butchers.
Yes.
Actually bypassing the AIBP and the actual meat plants.
Correct.
If you buy from them, you're buying Irish beef.
Well,
if you buy from the meat plant, shut up.
Or would that be supermarkets then? Some of them maybe.
Very probably. Probably.
I'm not. If the meat plants are supplying the major retailers, you know, maybe we're not buying Irish beef. Maybe somebody out there might like to actually make a comment on that. But it just goes back to the original idea: shopping local where we can. And go to your butchers then, where you have quality Irish produce.
Well, I'll be honest with you, we buy from a local butcher. Can I name him?
No, not anyway. No, it's okay.
No, that's great. Anyway, he's a butcher, buys locally, and there is no comparison between his meat and what you get from the supermarket.
Yeah, the taste. Yeah. I found that. I definitely found that over the years as well. You buy from a local butcher, and for some reason the taste is more natural. That I agree with, you know. And let's hope we have butchers in our towns left after COVID. Anyway, that's all I say. You know, we've had need them. Now, I'm not knocking the likes of the main retailers. They provide employment and they provide this.
Oh, they do.
But when it comes to shopping local, it's important that we do that. You know, very, very important. But I'm just sort of, well, I've stopped listening to RT News now because it annoys me. It actually annoys me. I mean, there's no reporter in there asking direct questions of NEFIT when they give these daily briefings. I mean, are they hoodwinked or mice? Or what are they doing?
I don't know. There might be changes coming because Dennis O'Brien has sold all his stakes in the Irish media, hasn't he?
He has. That's actually a good pun.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when the new owner takes over.
Bauer International have actually bought out all of the radio stations. In fact, actually now, come to think of it, as far as I'm aware, and I heard this on Virgin Media, and I'm not sure if I heard it correctly, but I think there is no radio station in Ireland left owned by an Irish company. It is all foreign ownership. But I'll tell you something, I heard through the grapevine, there are people in the network of the new composition of Bauer that are worried about their jobs because there will be changes coming.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, it's a very difficult time. And it's a very difficult situation, too, when media outlets are actually depending on advertising, and the advertising is literally dropped through the floor.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
it's a vicious circle.
It is a vicious circle because they need advertising. That's their main, their whole main source of income. And sponsorship follows that, etc., etc. But like, where does RTE get all these big thousands every Friday night on the Late Late Show to give 10, 20, 30 grand? Do they pay for that, or does that come from sponsorship?
I would say it comes from us.
Yes. Well, they're looking for an increase now on the television license.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say very politely to the board of management of RTE, pay your license yourselves, but we're not paying another increase in it because, you know.
Well, I would say make RTE pay-per-view.
What?
Make RTE pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view, yes.
Yeah.
If that's it.
If yeah. Like Sky Sports and that, they're pay-per-view.
Yes.
So you get your little card, you pay your monthly fee.
Your matches, you put in your card, the card is prepaid. It's like a credit or debit card or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way, that's fine. That's a good money earner. But they're too top heavy. And I know for a fact that there are job cuts and wage cuts. But I hope that the job cuts in RTE are not going to be the people who are the engineers and the assistants and all. There has to be proper wage cuts at the very top. There has to.
Absolutely.
And that goes for the politicians as well. I think they have a brass neck, Mike, to actually agree to an increase that will bring them over 100 grand a year plus a massive expense account. There's something wrong in this country. Something wrong.
Yeah. Can I just say something else there? Something that's going through the Parliament at the moment, or through the Dáil. Have you read about the provisions for direct provision?
Not fully yet. No, I haven't studied it yet. No.
There'll be nobody in direct provision for longer than 4 months. After that, they'll be housed and free to work. Should we not be looking after our own homeless first?
Well, I have stated that, and I've been told I'm racist and I'm prejudiced, which I'm not. We had an incident of a man in a laneway in Limerick City that was found dead, a homeless man. How many more of those men and women right through the country have we seen? And my worry is that when this pandemic is under control, the banks will start chasing people for arrears and mortgages.
They will, absolutely, yeah.
You are actually going to get thousands of evictions in the courts are already there.
Yeah.
Would have many, many more. So when I see the banking advertisements for mortgages and the happy faces of these crazy people that do these ads, I say they haven't a clue, not a clue. So Mike, we leave it at that for the moment. And we just keep fingers crossed that, well, I don't know, for what?
Yeah.
You know, and we just will see.
I don't know, it's just hard to know where it's going to end, isn't it?
Absolutely. Very, very much so. And we just have to keep fingers crossed. But the message from everybody in this country is lockdowns are finished. That's it. It's not going to...
There's, on March 17th, there's a massive protest planned.
Is there? Right?
Yeah. Massive protest planned, and many people are saying they're going to open up and be damned.
Yes.
Now, whether it comes to fruition, we don't know.
Well, people are fed up, Mike. They're not, I mean, that's it.
It's not even fed up, John. They can't afford to be locked down anymore.
But they can't. They have bills to pay, wages to pay.
Yeah.
Or, to pay their taxes, to pay suppliers. What are we going to do? Who's going to bail us out if the country goes into liquidation? With this carry on, it'll be very near it, like 2008 with the financial crash. And we're still paying for it. So we'll end it at that. But just before I go, I want to thank a very special thank you to my colleague, Dr. Mary Honan, who has looked after all of this and the engineering and the programming and the editing and makes me even look good. Thank you, Mary, for that. And to Mike Putt, our guest, I want to say a very special thank you to the people at home and abroad that sent in many views and phone calls to me in relation to our piece on Sandra Collins. And the family are going through hell at the moment, but there is a twist coming that could bring very positive closure to this debacle. So we'll keep you informed of what is actually going on. Yesterday, I had the privilege and the enjoyment of visiting many historical sites with Billy McGuire. They're all being recorded, they're all there. They'll be uploaded in the next couple of days. But from a point of view, right on our doorsteps, across the country, north and south, we have magnificent scenery, magnificent environment, beautiful wildlife, and we need to get the country open to get people out there and to get people coming into our beautiful country. So government ministers, cop on, lockdown is finished. That is it. So from all of us here, from Dr. Mary Honan, from Pat Barry, Mike Putt, myself, John Prendergast, and from all the team, a very good afternoon, and stay safe and keep washing the hands, very important, and keep social distance, and we'll be back before we know it. We'll make sure of it this time. March the 17th could be a big turning point. So from all of us here, go to Míle Mágat, August Slán. No, thank you, Mary.